Welcome back. You've seen it on Friday nights, Saturday nights, and now moving to Sunday nights here on Game Time. It is another edition of Convince Me. Yeah, the little dance and beat. That's right. As we have players, topics, things we talk about here, present to the guys. They make an argument to me, trying to convince me their point of view is the correct one. Shall we start? Rick, I'd like you to lead off here.
Okay.
And we're going to hit the ground running right now. Convince me. Who is the best player right now on the Golden State Warriors? They've won 11 in a row. Is it Kevin Durant or Steph Curry? Which is the better player right now?
Steph Curry. I'm not going to even think about it because if I start to think about it, I'll get in trouble. I'm just going to go with the reigning MVP. I think he's still the heartbeat of this team. Although Kevin Durant obviously has been extremely impressive, I think it has to do with the core of that Warriors team welcoming him. He's shooting the ball exceptionally well. He's doing a lot of things well, but they're going to go as this two-time defending MVP leads them. I think he's gotten off to a good start as well.
Say Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Brent?
I'm going to say Kevin Durant, averaging 27 points a game right now, shooting 57% from the field, and having to do the bulk of the rebound work, changing at least his approach on the interior part of the defense, and how much yet is still unseen with Kevin Durant in this new system where he's able to play with a collection of talent that he's not seen before. That's going to allow him more and more opportunities to just devastate opponents with his scoring ability. I say it's Kevin Durant. This is not an argument about who I'm starting my team with.
Sure.
But right now, I think Kevin Durant's the best player on that team.
Brent, you have convinced me that Kevin Durant right now is the best player on that team. And for all of the reasons above and acclimating himself to this situation and not missing a beat, he's been spectacular in terms of his all-around game, which includes assists and some blocks.
Yeah, how about a few block shots to throw in there? And I think KD is it.
All right, so that was just the first question.
Hey, no, it's an accurate argument.
We're rolling. Question number two. Convince me, Bones, at this point, who is really the best under-the-radar reserve? Maybe a guy who's breaking out this year and getting himself some attention that hasn't happened in years.
Sure, and I think you were asking, Vince, for a little bit deeper dig.
Let's go in the
Lou
weeds
Williams,
a little
the
bit.
Jamal Crawford
Yeah.
sort of thing. I'm trying to convince you that Mike Muscala of the hometown, since we're here in Atlanta, Hawks, has been a revelation, filling in for Thiago Splitter. Last year, he just had 9 minutes a game in 60 games. This year, he's up to 21 minutes. He's had one start, and the only starter above him in terms of plus minus right now is Paul Millsap, the guy he comes in for. So I'm going with the Moose, Mike Muscala.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, I like it.
Because I know you were thinking about Thabo for a while.
I was thinking about Thabo, and I almost went with him, but I'm going with the Moose.
You went with the Moose, which is what, Moose ears. Go ahead.
I like a young man that's getting a few more minutes now, Frank Kaminsky in Charlotte. He shoots the three ball exceptionally well, plays with a high IQ, understands the game well, but he also has been assisting, creating opportunities for teammates. And I think he has really filled a void with some of the injuries that's been going on from Marvin Williams in Charlotte, and I think he needs a little more attention.
I'm not crazy about either one of those guys, so I'm going to split the point.
What do you have?
I was thinking, to me, and it's not a guy who's winning right now, but I was very impressed with Nick Stauskas of late, a guy who's really been through a lot. High draft pick, had a lot to live up to, is playing inside and outside now, giving them good, solid bench scoring, and he's been very effective in terms of keeping the process going in Philadelphia. I'm not saying mine's better or worse, so I'm going to split the point for both of you because I don't think either one of you is wrong.
Fair enough.
No, I won't score it for myself. Stephen Lindsay was asking me, our director, to take the point and run, but I don't know if I can do that. I haven't checked, actually, the Convince Me rule book. Moving right along. Rick, I have to ask you this. Convince me Russell Westbrook right now is the best out-of-position player maybe ever, certainly of his generation.
Well, I've been struggling with this question, even knowing that it was coming, because, look, Russell has been a product of his youth and the branding of his youth as an aggressive, in some cases reckless. Is he a point guard? Is he a two guard? I don't think he fits in any of those positions as we traditionally have defined them. And so when you think of Magic Johnson over the years, that he changed the point guard position. To me, Russell Westbrook, if you can be comfortable with the way he attacks and you can remove your thought process around traditional point guards or a calming presence on the floor, then maybe you can take the next leap of faith and say that this is the point guard of the future. This is what guards look like in the future. So I'm going to call him his own category. He's a power guard. Instead of a point guard or a shooting guard, he's a power guard. Because when you look at James Harden, triple doubles, I can't see the difference in the two of them, only that Russell is a little more attacking and a little more aggressive and a little unsettling if you're traditionally used to a calming presence at that position.
All right, fair enough. That's interesting because you've gone past labeling and really gone into another category, melding.
Can you ask the question again?
My question is, and it's right here on the graphic, the greatest out-of-position player. Like, do we consider him a true point guard? Because many don't.
So I don't. It's an.
You're not buying the premise?
No. The question is interesting in terms of its wording because I shouldn't have to convince you of a question that you're already answering. You're asking me a question about Russell Westbrook already being out of position
All right, no.
as maybe not your typical point guard. And this goes back to the way that we have been taught growing up about what a point guard is supposed to be with regards to high percentage shooter, sets up the team, a connection to the coach, gets the offense running, gets all his players involved, doesn't take the most shots on his team, but sets up the most shots on his team, and by no means would lead the team in scoring. God forbid that he would do that. That's up to the power forward or the small forward position, which we had through the 90s, the early 2000s. That's where the position mostly was getting the attention. Russell Westbrook does define this position in a whole new way, being as attacking and being as used as he is in this position. And now he's taking on a little bit different, there's a little bit different recognition, Vince, this year because now we're looking at possessions where he's not playing with Kevin Durant and where we're not criticizing or critical of the idea that you didn't explore maybe the best player in the universe that last possession by moving the ball to KD. There is no KD on the team this year, so Russell has the reign to do those same things that we've watched him do over the course of the past 6 seasons. And now we're a little bit more accepting of some of the same plays. It might still be bad shots, but that he has to do and forced to do it. So I don't think I need to convince you that he's already out of position, but what he's doing by numbers should do that.
Well, the one thing I am convinced of is that this is really a unique player. And this is someone that can't be categorized. And I think you've both presented that argument, or that at least that line of reasoning, that we shouldn't maybe paint him into a corner or we shouldn't put labels on him. So I'm going to actually split the point again because it's both well stated on both sides.
You know, we don't do it to James Harden. I mean, James Harden was a shooting guard. Now he's a point guard.
So I just have to wrap my mind around Russell Westbrook doing his thing.
He's a power guard, and James Harden is a points guard.
All right, fair enough.
You like that one? Points guard.
No, I like power guard better.
Okay, but points
power
guard
guard sounds like
points guard. You don't like for Harden? Points guard?
Well, yeah, I like that too.
Okay. So power guard.
I like power guard. I haven't heard that one.
Here I
That's
am
good.
trying to help Rick out to get a full point. You've already split him. So.
Okay, so we've got 1.5 and 1. All right. So here we go. The final question is this. We've talked about this, speaking of point guard or points guards, being a point guard league right now. It's point guard dominated. These guys have really taken charge. And we thought for a while it might lead to the demise of a true big man. However, with some of the young bigs that have come into the league now, with Karl Anthony Towns coming in, and of course Joel Embiid, and then even bigs like Porzingis and also Anthony Davis, are big men back in vogue? Is the big man back, Brent? Is the big man back and thriving?
The big man is being redefined and revolutionized right in front of your eyes. I mean, we're not talking about what has happened in the past, where big men dominated the game. George Mikan, they widened the lane for George Mikan. In 1955, they put the shot clock in to force the big guys who were dominating the inside defensively and scoring points. They put 24-second shot clock in to make the big guys run, to make their job tougher. What the big guys have decided to do is say, we see where you're going with this. We see the three-point line. We're going to step back and we're going to start doing what you're doing. And that's shooting threes, expanding their game. And the amazing thing is that we have right now in front of us guys who have the skill set to do that. A DeMarcus Cousins, and Anthony Davis, a Karl Anthony Towns. We see it from Brook Lopez in Brooklyn. We see it from Marc Gasol in Memphis. So these guys are accepting the game the way it's played now and adjusting to what it is that the rules used to not allow them to do. They're stretching the rules now for themselves to be effective and be an important part of what the offense is nowadays.
So hard. Stole my answer. All I could say to that point is I don't think the big men ever went anywhere. They've just become more skilled and adept at playing the game, and the game is accepting them out on the perimeter and allowing them, coaches are allowing them to do things that we did not allow big men to do. Shaquille O'Neal had some of these skills without the three-point shooting capabilities, or maybe just the outside the paint shooting capabilities at all. He's going to kill me for that one. But our big men today, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, we're seeing the youth in our game. They're tall, so we call them big men, but they play like guards. They play in a lot of ways. Kristaps Porzingis is playing, shooting three-pointers.
Right.
They're all doing what I always use Brad Sellers. I'm sorry, Brad Sellers. Brad Sellers wasn't allowed. Every time we made jokes about Brad Sellers, every time he floated out to the three-point line. It wasn't long ago we made jokes about any big man that was hiding out behind the arc. They were supposed to be in the paint, rebounding and banging and protecting that box, right? Protecting that area. And now they're doing that, but they're smart enough to know how to use their teammates and float out and play pick and rolls and roll to the three-point line. They've opened up the game. So I don't know if they ever went anywhere as much as they're demanding attention by broadening their skill sets, and the game has allowed them, and the coaching staffs are accepting that.
I am going to call it a comeback only because I think they've evolved. Like many years ago, like evolution. Either you evolve or die.
Well,
they made themselves a valuable commodity.
I'm going to totally agree with that sentiment, Vince, in that I think we were ruined by what the mid-'80s offered us. When you had a draft or a couple years in the draft where you saw David Robinson, Akeem Olajuwon, and Patrick Ewing all come into the NBA around the same time, it felt like every team in the league had a dominant center that was getting the job done. And if you didn't have one of these prized possessions, guess what? You got no chance to win the championship, and your defense probably is going to suffer because of that. That's not the way the game's played, and teams have never had existing centers have dominated the game that way. The revolution is being televised.
Right, you can be a back-to-the-basket center. You can also face the basket now all the way out to the three-point line and beyond. I got to split it again, but I think, did he win by half a point then? I think Bones does. But here's a bonus question for you.
Okay.
And I've been meaning to ask this on Convince Me. Convince me that this is actually a pumpkin. And this was actually grown on Earth.
That's actually,
or did it fall to Earth?
That's actually a map.
What is that?
That's a map on a pumpkin.
I don't even. Really?
That's a globe. That's a global pumpkin. It's orange.
We'll leave it on that. I don't know what that is. Don't leave it on my doorstep. I know that. I'll be right back.